More than 60 years before the First World War began, China was to be the theatre of a far deadlier military conflict. These events, later to become a new record in modern-day history, would be known as the Taiping Rebellion. The Taiping Rebellion arose in 1850. At that period, China was ruled by the Manchu Qing dynasty that had seized power in 1644. However, the immense Zhongguo, or Middle Empire as it was also called, was feeble against the colonial Western powers. Indeed, the British Empire had successfully enforced the trading of opium and gained control of Hong Kong after the First Opium War, imposing one of the many unequal treaties China would be the subject to. The British also shared alongside France and the United States concessions in Shanghai, increasing their influence in China. Chinese goods were in high demand at the time, and in addition to trading, many European authorities saw China as a land to spread Christianity, as had been done in many colonies and occupied territories of the past. Jesuit missionaries had been dispatched from Europe since the 16th century. But in the 19th century, many more branches of Christianity started to evangelize in China, such as Orthodoxy from the Russian Empire and Protestantism from the British. Traditionally, the vast majority of the Chinese population worshipped the Chinese folk religion, Buddhism, Taoism, or Confucianism. The Qing emperors had even adopted the Confucianist doctrine as their official religion. Chinese authorities therefore resented the spread of this foreign cult in their lands, and several emperors denounced the Christian presence. Emperors Yongzheng, Jiaqing, and Daoguang had successively criticized or even banned the preaching of Christianity in some circumstances. However, a significant proportion of the Chinese people still adopted and embraced this new religion, and many churches were built in Western-influenced areas. One such convert was Xiaochuan. Xiaochuan was born in a poor family from the Hua County in Guangdong Province in southern China on the 1st of January 1814. As he seemed to show promising scholar skills, his parents decided to finance primary education for him, and after brilliantly succeeded the preliminary civil servant examinations, ranking first, Xiaochuan then moved to Guangzhou, or Canton, the largest city in the region, and a strong Western sphere of influence, to take the imperial examinations. These were a necessary test for any person aspiring to become a high-ranked civil servant or climb the social ladder. However, the young student was unsuccessful and had to return broke to agricultural life in his home village. In 1836, at the age of 22, he returned to Guangzhou to take the examinations again. It was there that he met Edwin Stevens, an American Christian illegally acting as a missionary. This was Xiaochuan's first interaction with Christianity, and although he did not pay much attention to the foreign religion, he still took the preacher's translated pamphlets. The young student had to face another fail in the imperial examinations. The next year, he tried and failed once more, which resulted in a complete nervous breakdown, due to all the efforts and sacrifices he had to endure to take the tests. In his delirious visions, he dreamed that he was part of a celestial family, being the son of a supreme being. Furthermore, he discovered Confucianism to be a wrong path of worship. Now believing himself a supernatural being, he awoke more serene than ever before. Xiaochuan began a teaching career and started to teach in several schools. In 1843, at the age of 29, he attempted to take the imperial examinations once again and was unsuccessful. In despair, the young man got interested in Christianity. He carefully studied the pamphlets that Edward Stevens had given to him, which in time led him to conclude that his celestial father was God himself. He was therefore a brother of Jesus Christ. The now enlightened Xiaochuan started preaching his vision, and he was able to convert some of his relatives and friends, as well as other people from around his own village. With his devout cousin Hong Rengan, Xiaochuan had 2 swords forged that he baptized the demon-slaying swords. The cultists began to destroy Confucianist statues around the village and went to evangelize nearby settlements. These outrageous acts led the villagers to expel them. Hong Xiaochuan and his converts briefly preached in the town of Canton and then traveled to the province of Guangxi in the west that would become their headquarters. In November 1844, he was allowed to return home to continue his teaching career, and he used the opportunity to develop further his new cult. In 1847, Hong Xiaochuan and his cousin Rengan decided to pursue their study of Christianity with the help of another American missionary, Issachar J. Cox Roberts, in the town of Canton. Later that year, he was reunited with one of his first converts and distant cousin, Feng Yunshan, who had founded a society of god worshippers back in Guangxi province, a sect following Xiaochuan's interpretation of Christianity. The movement grew strong, and Xiaochuan wrote many texts of a free adaptation of the Bible, eventually creating his own Taiping Bible, or Bible of the Great Peace. His influence was so strong that it spiked jealousy in many Western missionaries. The young cult leader and his followers settled in Guangxi province, numbering more than 2,000 men and women. The Chinese authorities did not clash with them at the time due to a troubling bandit presence in the region. Paradoxically, many bandits joined the Society of God Worshippers. Inevitably, tensions sparked between the society and the local authorities. In 1850, Hong Xiaochuan counted practically 30,000 followers. Confident, some main figures, such as Feng Yunshan, started to speak of a complete rebellion against the Qing authorities. The local administrators grew concerned, and in December they dispatched troops to force a dispersion of the society. To their surprise, the god worshippers successfully routed the imperial force and even executed a magistrate. Outraged! On the 11th of January 1851, the Chinese authorities launched a full attack on the base of the sect, dispatching more than 7,000 men to crush the insurgents. Once again, the indoctrinated followers repelled the imperial troops and executed a Manchu military commander. That same day, Hong Xiaochuan officially declared the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom to be founded, a new country defying the Great Qing, where he would be the supreme heavenly king. Every day, more converts flocked to the Taiping Kingdom. To simplify administration, Hong named several lesser kings corresponding to the cardinal points. Feng Yunshan, one of the most influential figures, became the South King. The Qing regularly sent troops to crush the rebellion, but the strong devotion and confidence of the pseudo-Christians always allowed them to prevail. In May 1852, the Taiping rebels started to march to Guangzhou County to evade the pursuing Qing. On the 24th, during a Qing ambush, an imperial handgunner managed to shoot Feng Yunshan in his little chair, and the wound would prove to be fatal. In an enraged retaliation, Hong ordered the city of Guangzhou to be breached and all inhabitants to be executed. The Taiping Heavenly Kingdom continued to thrive. Its ambitious military leaders, such as Yang Xiaoqing, the East King, Wei Changhui, the North King, and Jing Rigang, one of the Heavenly King's most trusted friends, decided in March 1853 to attack the town of Wuhan, and then Nanjing, the most important city of all southern China. The three commanders led an army of 500,000 men and easily captured Nanjing. Hong established it as the Taiping capital, renaming it Tianjin, or Heavenly Capital. All Manchu inhabitants and ethnicity shared with the imperial family and high-ranked mandarins were executed or thrown out of the town. Expeditions were held to secure and gain more land around the town with moderate success. In 10 years, Hong Xiaochuan and his followers had been able to create their own Christianity, assemble a huge army, and establish their own country in southern China. However, internal conflicts would soon trouble the prosperity of the kingdom. Thank you for watching my first video. The second part will be linked in the description. If you enjoyed it, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Should you have any questions relating to the topic, feel free to ask them in the comment section below.